Okay, welcome back. We're talking about how to apply this brand new GPO to an OU. You know, since roaming profiles is pretty bizarre, most likely you're not going to have an OU in there that supports this feature. So what you would do instead is to apply it to like the all users, okay? Like go up here and put it on accounts and then filter them so it only happens on those machines, on those users that you want it to. It's called security filtering. So I would actually apply this roaming guy to the top level accounts and then turn right around and tell it that that's not what I want. Okay, see where it says security filtering? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a security group for roaming users. Okay, and then remove this guy for authenticated users. And that way, when this guy gets applied, then it's going to look at the group and go, sorry, you're not in that group, so you don't get this, which is good. And then otherwise it says, oh, you are in that group, therefore I am going to go in and do this entire roaming profile thing. Okay, kind of makes sense? So I'm removing the authenticated users guy and I'm adding this roaming users security group, which I didn't do. So let's just talk about what are the final thoughts here. First of all, this is kind of an older approach. It's kind of kludgy, right? It's kind of an all or nothing approach. You know, you get all the entire user profile, whether you wanted it or not. And it's kind of a bizarre way to do it with GPO. Okay, it's a little weird, isn't it? Okay, the other technique for accomplishing roughly the same thing is folder redirection. It's a heck of a lot more modern, and I think you'll like it better. So some of the folders are permanently stored on the server. In other words, there's no copying. They always live there. Okay? You know, roaming, oh, wait, you logged in, let me copy all my stuff down. But in folder redirection, it's always there. Okay? Kind of cool. Hey, I'm going to remove this guy because I was just messing. So I'm going to hit delete. Okay, cool. All right, so far so good. So what I do is I pick a particular folder or series of folders, most likely the documents folder, but maybe, I don't know, music, video, right? Pictures, right? Whatever I want. So no copying is required here. Now, use case. Okay, I want my user documents to be wherever I go. Good thing is I don't have to worry about backing them up, right? So a pro would be, this is a heck of a lot faster than having to copy them down every single time. And I don't have to worry about, you know, this whole goofy thing with the primary computer. You still could, okay? You still could use primary computer designation for roaming profiles. I'm sorry, for redirection, but I don't really see a need because it's harmless, right? Okay, so it is a lot faster, and again, the user isn't responsible for backing up their own stuff. Now, the cons are, if the network is down, I got nothing. Absolutely nothing. So if you have a really resilient network, great. And there's other issues, some issues if the server you're talking to might also have remote desktop services running. Well, then it's kind of confusing. It's like, wait a minute, you want this desktop settings or you want those desktop settings? Which one do you want? It's a little confusing. Okay, yes, you can use the primary computer thing again, right? Same thing. Okay, so prep work, I would create a security group, maybe call it, you know, redirected users, something like that. I'd make create a share like we did before. Like in this case, I went ahead and built one. It's called home. So home is the one I was thinking about. You tweak the permissions here. It's very similar to the one before, except you'd have to look at the instructions a little bit closer. It's some very unusual attributes here. It's a list folder, create folder, and then read attribute, read extended attribute, read and traverse folder. Okay, and that's kind of weird. And so, yeah, if you had to do that, you're going to have to follow the instructions kind of carefully. So it's time for me to build a GPO for this guy. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to create me a new guy. I'm going to call it, I don't know, what do you want to call this guy? We'll call him Redirect. Okay, Redirect. Okay, cool. All right, so this one is going to be a heck of a lot easier to do. I'm going to go here to edit this guy. And so this time it is going to be under user. Okay. So I go to policies and Windows settings, and there's one called folder redirection. Now, here I go in here and just say what it is I want. If I want the desktop, I would go to here, right click, go to properties, and then it says, hey, how do you want to do this? And say basic, which means everyone's folder goes to the same location. That's really what we want. The machine will take care of the fact, with those special permissions we created, the machine will take care of the fact that other people can't see other people's stuff. Okay, it's all just magic. So basic would be a good one. And then create the folder under the root path, yes. And then this, of course, is going to be the UNC path, okay, not the normal thing. So I'm going to go down here to the network. Okay, network. Wait for it to populate my server guy, because I have to use the UNC path here. Come on, machine. There we go. So server 1, there's home. I hit the button and it pulls that stuff in there. Let me just pop over to settings real quick. It says grant the user exclusive rights. Yeah. Move the contents to the new location. In other words, if I'm building it on a machine now, then automatically put that up there. Okay. And then leave the folder when the policy is removed. So this is kind of sort of important. Remember, we're redirecting things. So let's say I don't want to do redirecting anymore. I want to delete this GPO, or I'm going to take this person out of the OU that did this. Well, where's their stuff? And so this would probably be the most likely thing. Redirect the folder back to the local profile when the policy is removed. Now, this works fairly well, but where are they when they did this? They better be sitting at their machine, right? On the day you decide to take them out of the OU, they can't be wandering around, because whatever machine they're on at the time is what's going to get this. Okay, just weird, huh? Okay, sounds good? Okay. So, obviously, there's another thing you can do. You can do the thing with the, still you can use the primary computer guy if you wanted to. Yeah. Okay, so I would have to manually do this on each one of these guys, right? Pick out which one I want. You know, I go to basic, and I put the path in, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Pick all the ones you want, and do that to it. Okay, so how do you? Once again, I have to. Well, let me go ahead and just save this guy. So now I have this guy, and I have to mount him or link him to an OU. But once again, maybe I don't want to link to the entire OU. Maybe I want to use that security filter thing one more time. Just saying, maybe, I don't know, maybe you're not. Maybe I want to redirect everybody in the sales department automatically, I don't know, but it's likely that maybe you don't want to do that. Okay, can you do this manually? Can I go in, before I showed you the manual way of doing redirection, and then I showed you the GPO way, right? Okay, the manual way kind of sort of works, but there was no way to configure to honor the primary computer thing. Okay, here I'm using a modern approach for doing a GPO, and I'm linking it, and there is no substitution. There's no way you can go in and do this manually. It has to be done through a GPO, which is good. I mean, I made it kind of sound bad, but no, that's a good thing. Okay, so final thoughts. Can you use roaming profiles and folder redirection simultaneously? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And quite frankly, that would make the size of the roaming profile so much smaller. Let's say, for example, that I'm making this up. Let's say that 80% of the size of your profile was your documents folder. And you had a couple of gigabytes, and it took forever every time you logged onto a machine. Well, do a folder redirect on documents. And then when it came time to do the roaming, it only has a very, very small thing to roam. Kind of cool. Okay, so which to use? When to use each? So roaming profiles are kind of heavy-handed, and it's kind of all or nothing. And I can understand particularly mandatory roaming profiles. Let's say you had a really rough environment where everyone had to be exactly the same. I don't know. How about this? We have a bunch of machines available to the public that are right behind the security desk. Okay, and so these machines are going to be used by everybody, right? And so I really want to have them not be able to make any changes whatsoever. If they added something to the desktop or something, when they log off, I want that to just disappear. Because otherwise, let's say 100 users sat down at that machine. I would have 100 user profiles stored on that machine. And it'll just start growing and growing and growing and growing. But if you did a mandatory, it's like they don't get to store anything on the machine. They get to use it, they get to do the thing. But when they log out, it all goes away. Pretty cool. Folder redirection, that's a heck of a lot more familiar. For example, at home, you may actually have this already. You could be using OneDrive with a client, Windows 10, Windows 11 version of this folder redirection. You could be pointing your documents folder up to OneDrive, okay? Which is kind of sort of the same thing you got now. Okay, we've reached the end of this this hands-on thing, and we'll see you guys in the next video.